Ng isang babae dahil sa haba raw ng pagtatanong ng immigration sa kanya na tila wala naman daw kinalaman sa biyahe. Hiningan pa raw siya ng mga dokumento gaya ng yearbook at graduation picture. Gumugulong na raw ang investigasyon sa immigration sa insidente. Pe-report si Von Aquino.
Sinulit ng freelance writer na si Cham Tanteras ang kanyang trip to Israel. Nag-enjoy raw siya ng husto sa solo travel noong December 2022. Pero bago nakabiyahe, hindi raw naging maganda ang kanyang karanasan. Sa video na ipinost niya sa social media, ibinahagi niyang maaga siyang nagpunta sa NAIA Terminal 1. Pero pagdating sa immigration counter,
sabi niya sa akin, "Ma'am, I'll bring you to this office, ha? We will, a person there will just ask you more questions." Tinanong ako kung if my parents are separated or together. He also asked me if I have already graduated. Sabi ko, yes.
mas nagulat siya sa mga sumunod na hiningi sa kanya.
Hiningan niya ako ng yearbook. So, hindi naman ako magdadala ng mabigat na yearbook while traveling. Kahit saan pa. Sabi niya, if you didn't bring your yearbook, do you have your graduation photo with you?
Buti na lang daw na may wacky grad photo siya sa cellphone.
He has like remarks pa na, parang hindi mo naman kamukha, ganon.
Pinahawak pa raw kay Cham ang isang border questionnaire form.
Walang sinabing reason, pero sobrang kinakabahan na ako.
Sa haba ng interview, makailang ulit daw siyang pinuntahan ng ground staff ng airline dahil pasara na ang boarding gates.
Sabi naman nung person sa IO, no, hindi ko siya i-offload. Pero wait lang, marami pa akong tanong. And then when I finally got it, nag-signal na yung ground staff inside the boarding gate. Sabi niya, no na, close na.
Nasayang ang 19,000 pesos na ticket niya. Pero dahil gusto talaga ni Cham makabiyahe, nag-book siya kinabukasan ng isa pang flight sa ibang airline at ibang terminal sa halagang 27,000 pesos. Pero paano raw kung mangyari ito sa ibang walang budget makapag-rebook ng flight?
Ako personally, I feel discriminated. I did all my best to bring as much as I can. I feel like relevant sa trip. Paano pala kung hindi ako graduate? So I'm not allowed to travel.
Sabi ni Immigration Commissioner Norman Tansinco, inimbestigahan agad nila ito at pinagawa nila ng full report tungkol sa insidente ang immigration officer. Pinayagan naman daw ang pasahero matapos niya mag-fill out ng border control questionnaire at sumailalim sa secondary inspection. Sinabi rin nilang nangyayari talaga ang human trafficking at illegal recruitment. At isa sila sa mga ahensyang naatasang sugpuin ito, kaya humihingi sila ng pangunawa sa pagtupad sa kanilang tungkulin. Gayunpaman, pinalalahanan daw nila ang mga tauhan nila na maging profesional sa pag-iinspeksyon at iwasan ang maulit ang nangyari kay Cham. Von Aquino, nagbabalita para sa GMA Integrated News.
Immigration rant for my Israel and Palestine trip. Story time. I went to Israel to spend Christmas alone last December. It was supposed to be at December 21. A week before that, I booked my flight, priced around 19,000 pesos on Skyscanner. On the day of my flight, which was supposed to be at 11 a.m., I decided to go to the airport around 3 a.m. because if I ever have to go at around 8 a.m., I have to rummage through the traffic, which I'm trying to avoid. So better be early. Counters were open at around 6. Started lining up at the counter. My flight was supposed to be via Gulf Air, connecting to Bahrain. I started lining up in the immigration at around 7:30 or before 8. And the line was so long. Since I'm a solo traveler, but it's not my first time traveling solo. Of course, the immigration officer kept asking questions about my flights, my previous flights, my reason for traveling, which was supposed to be just spending Christmas where Jesus' birthplace is. And this is the climax of the story. So the immigration officer started asking questions about my reason for travel, and then I need to go through that office, their head office, whatever, and I'll be asked for more questions. So I was brought to that immigration office somewhere in Terminal 1, and there was like a long line, and I wasn't asked right away, so I waited like more than 30 minutes or almost an hour for my turn, and then the immigration officer named Abdullah. I forgot his real name. It's just a nameplate here, and I'm not sure if he's the head of the immigration there in Terminal 1. So he kept on asking me irrelevant questions that I don't think is necessary for my travel, which is number one, if my parents were separated or together. Number two, if I have my yearbook with me. I told the officer, like, hey, I graduated college 10 years ago. Why would I even bring a yearbook in my travel? Like, who brings yearbook going to Israel? Who brings yearbook in their travel? And the next, since I don't have a yearbook with me, heavy yearbook, for fucking sake. He was asking about if I bring my graduation photo. Sir, I graduated 10 years ago. Why would I even bring all those stuff with me? I recall that I have a wacky photo of me and my toga. And then I show it to him and he said, okay, that's fine. And other more irrelevant questions, like who booked my flight, and I told him that I was the one who booked my flight. And then he wants me to show the exact email, although I have already a printed copy of my booking for the flight. He got my phone and then he was the one browsing my email to check if I really booked my flight. He had this envelope complete with all of my documents. So he got it also, and he was the one checking all my files, all my papers, all my documents. And then he found that I have a PTI of my business, freelance stuff. And he was asking what I do here in Siargao. So I had to explain in detail in an essay form what Boodle means. So, and the airport ground staff keep going back to his office and asking that I needed to go to the boarding gate because it's my final call. I'm the only passenger left for that flight. And then the ground staff also asked if the officer will offboard me because they don't need to keep coming back. And then the officer said, I will not offload her. Just wait for me for more questions. So in my mind, I was like, you don't you don't have plans of uploading me, so why do you have to keep asking questions? Up until he finally stamped my passport that I'm allowed to go, and I was running with the airport staff, but then again the gates were closed. And I missed my flight. I tried to ask the airport staff what will I do, and then they just advised me to just rebook your flight the next day. Why would I even have to rebook my flight tomorrow? I have another flight tomorrow bound to Tel Aviv. That's a two connecting flights. And then I was advised to go to the office, get my luggage because my luggage will be offloaded on the plane. And I had to call the airline to rebook my flight, which they didn't. And if I do, I'll pay another price. I think anyone's accountable here. I haven't ate for the next 24 hours because I was too stressed. But long story short, I booked another flight for the next day. Under airline in Terminal 3, there was no problem at all. The process was smooth in Terminal 3, and that's it. So thank you, Immigration Officer Abdullah. So I missed my flight. I have to pay for it, and you don't have any accountability. Cheers to that.